What's up, team? Welcome back to our lab. It's your biggest fan, the real Casadero, and we brought the ship up to transmission depth to broadcast our pirate signal across the internet yet again, team. And I did so because I came across this video here on the internet where he's talking about one of the CEOs of one of these really big tech companies and how smart they are. And I'm assuming that he's going to say something along the lines of they went and they laid everyone off, and now they have to hire a bunch of people back because they're finding all this mistakes in the stuff that they've made since getting rid of all the developers. Again, I haven't watched this, so I don't know what he's gonna say. I'm not gonna watch it here. The video you can find: GitHub CEO exposes Salesforce massive AI mistake why smart companies are hiring. I'm gonna watch it and then I'm just gonna respond without playing the video here. I really came here to record the audio to make sure that the audio is at the right level for when I upload this to the internet. I got all these fans up here. It's been really hot the past few days. That's me being quite personal with you. For those of you who don't know who I am, you've never met me before, I've worked in cybersecurity for quite some time. On this actual YouTube channel, I started off as a system administrator in 2018, and I've worked as a software security engineer. I've worked as a software engineer, cybersecurity software engineer, and a web developer in that time frame. I went from when I was in sales. I was selling cars before I started. Now, before I started selling cars, I was in the military, and I was a section chief. I deployed 3 times. I lived in 4 countries: Afghanistan, Iraq, Korea, and Germany. And I earned a lot of awards and decorations in the Army. And that's where I learned a lot about secure technology and secure communication systems. Prior to that, I built computers. That's how I got my job in the Army. I specifically requested something to do with computers. There's another profession in the Army that runs directly parallel with cybersecurity, but that wasn't available when I joined. I joined the Army just before that program became a thing. And so I learned all of the tactical communications radio systems. I got out, I went to school for software engineering, I went into car sales, and then I became a system administrator for a cyber defense company, working at Microsoft. And then I went from there to another company and another company. Right, so I've done a lot of this stuff that we're talking about here. Now, nobody's really done AI. It all came out in 2022. There were people doing things with stuff like TensorFlow and PyTorch, and that was along the lines of machine learning, where you take some data, and this could be company data, documents, whatever, structure it, put that information in a standard format, and then you could use any programming language to parse that data and then to crunch some numbers and to produce some results from that information. And there were varying degrees of this. Some were using it to glean like financial data or production data, inventory data, and some were using it to generate LLMs, make chat bots. Some are using that information to produce marketing material. It just depends on who you were, where you were, and what you were doing. And then in 2022, ChatGPT came out with OpenAI. OpenAI came out with ChatGPT. And then everybody started talking to the computer, and the computer started giving them answers, and then everybody became an expert on everything. And not to say that that's not right. There's a lot of people who are exposed to information that they are experts on. They just didn't think they were, and they still don't think they are because they don't have degrees and things like that. I would say I'm here to crush that myth, but I'm not necessarily here to crush that myth. You can crush that myth by just going out and learning this stuff. But this is what I see going on, and I believe that he sees the same thing. Again, I haven't watched this video, so I don't know exactly what he's going to say. And I'm not going to play it here because I don't want any copyright strikes. I don't want to deal with anything down the road. I intend to keep all my content from this point out evergreen and original. But there are people out here talking about stuff, and he knows what he's talking about. And I have my thoughts. And I'm not saying I'm in disagreement at all. I agree with what he's saying. And we're going to see this. A lot of people are going to be hired back into the tech field. There's going to be a lot of government contracts. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to start their own businesses and do their own thing, if that's what you're into. I would say this is a great opportunity for people to start getting together, because there's somebody who loves doing paperwork, and then there's somebody who doesn't want to do paperwork at all. They just like to talk. And so that's your salesperson. You got somebody, they want to do all the technical stuff. That's your technician. So you get 3 to 5 people together, and you can have a pretty decent company. Now it's where do you go out and get these clients, and how you're going to structure the company, and where are people going to work, and all this stuff. That's where it gets complicated. But then you have someone who does the research, and they figure these things out. A good place to start, just to be transparent, is if you go to Microsoft Edge. That's the browser that I use. sam.gov, and you can see this is just one of many websites. Another website that the government commissioned some time ago was Unisom, and there's some other sites out there. So Unisom, you don't want Unisom for sleep. It may be Unison. I apologize. Yeah, the Unison marketplace. And then there's some other marketplaces that you learn about from different places, like there is, I think it's Score, not Score. There's a local, it's a local site for businesses to register with the government in order to bid on contracts. And there's all kinds of contracts. I forget the name of it, but there's a few of them. Sam.gov is the one where everything goes, and you can just go here and search for whatever it is that you do. They have these things called NAIC codes. I don't know if they talk about them on this site. I learned all this stuff in a different kind of way. And when I was learning it or putting all this information together, I was doing it inside of this system that I developed. And so if I go here to Casadero Labs, I've got all these business and GovCon notes and stuff in here. So if we go, I think I have a daily journal as well. But if we open this right here, got some stuff over here, artifacts, areas, so back office. And then there we got artifacts, GovCon back office. Right, this is where I was tracking, or where I am tracking some government opportunities. And then I have some redundant files in here and stuff like that. But this was essentially a system where I could go and read all of the research that I had done. And then at some point, I knew this was coming. This isn't the system I started it with. There was a system before this. But I knew that I would be able to crunch all of this information and be able to ask questions about it one day. So right now I can go in here and I can say NAIC code. And then here I have like all this write up on what NAIC codes are. And then somewhere in here linked to this, I have more information on NAIC codes. I just have to find them, right? And they're NAIC codes for my specific company. So if I go back over here, middleman bid process, middleman bid proposal, let's see. So these are all, so change log, GovCon media. All right, so let's go here. Then find opportunity. So if we go in here, this was a part of a process. So sam.gov, Unisom, DLA, GSA.gov, USA.gov, and then we have the Department of Defense. DOD procedure toolbox, right? That's for if you're going to bid on contracts direct with the DOD. So I have that. It brings up this website here. And then if we go back, oh, I apologize. You can't even see what I'm doing here. Let me go back to there. Bam. All right, so that's sam.gov. And then this right here is the knowledge base I was looking at. So if we go down, state and local government, small business, and then analyze opportunity tracking. Let's see what we got in here. All right, let's see, GovCon proposal drafting, opportunity mindset, paraphrase, always ask subcontractors for net 90. All right, so this is when if you're going to use subs, like say for instance we bid on remodel, then you're going to have your subcontractors go and look at the site, and then they're going to draw up plans and things like that. And so you ask for net 90. Hey, you're going to do 90 days of work. We'll pay you at the end of 90 days. And then you got to go find their money and you have to pay them. Or you get the government to pay you some money and you pay your subcontractors. That's just a very rudimentary way of talking about this stuff right now. What I'm trying to find is these NAIC codes, because I don't know I haven't seen them in a long time. Let's see, opportunities, so let's go open. Let's see if we can go Control-Shift-F, NAIC. And let's see, comprehensive service list by NAIC. There we go. And so if I go in here, cybersecurity services, for instance, these are all the NAIC codes for cybersecurity. So other scientific, we could take one of these codes and we could go to sam.gov and we could paste this code right in here. We'll just paste it right in the search right there and go enter. And then we can say contracting, and we can go due date next month. It could be next year, it could be whenever. We can say set aside is going to be for small business, total small business set aside. And then we could say something like, where is it? Notice type solicitation. That means they're going to buy something, or they want to buy something. And there's only two. The other ones are probably requests for information. So licensed psychological examiner. And so I know this is general scientific stuff. Then we have Mojave Desert. What the heck? Mojave Desert tortoise something. Mojave Desert tortoise surveys. If you're into tortoises, right, this is the thing for you. And so it's all kinds of stuff. On Unisom or the other websites, the government is buying stuff. They may be buying Beanie Babies for all you know. Right? It just depends. You got to go out and look for this stuff. And so, yeah, that's the NateCode system. This is the database. It's not even a database. It's a bunch of text files that are inside of a folder. In this case, Casadero Labs, and then they're split up into different sections under different themes, and they're all linked together somehow. Typically, if I go Control O, let's see if I got index right. All right, so this takes me direct to the opportunity tracking system, and these are some projects that I was bidding on some time ago, I think. So look, this one's from '04, this one's from '03 of this year. Contract opportunity, JW Turney, nursery seedling shipping, and then Polar Star flame resistant overalls. On this contract, this is where I found out that I need I have to have a special license for it, which I had to go apply for. So at any rate, that's my knowledge base, and in order to build that, I use a program called Obsidian, OBSIDIAN, Obsidian.md, and it's just text files, and then all of the stuff I need to do online I keep in drive.google.com, and that's using a Google Workspace account, and I have my email address linked to this, so you can email at Casadero Labs and at follow.com. And I got the email address, I mean, not the email address, but the domain name on Namecheap. And so with the little reading, you can figure all this stuff out, but I do help people set these things up. So, oh, I want to start a business. Okay, start a C Corp or LLC or S Corp. There's different tax benefits for them all. I think I have that stuff inside of my knowledge base too. So we go like LLC. The first principle of single person LLC, and then comprehensive meeting minutes template. Let's see, you go corporation, publication, the first principles of business, the corporation, C corporation, the MCDC, that's a community development, right? This is one of the first places I worked, and I learned about the community development corporations. I don't know how I got this EIN number for the, maybe it must be in the public record somewhere. Yeah, it is in the public records, right? So this is one of the first corporations that I worked for way back when. But I have that information in here. So nonprofit organization, that's why that came to mind. And then the E, right? So these are just basic notes. There's nothing real stand out in there. Google Earth, if we go back, comprehensive. And then, yeah, so this is all GovCon media, like things to watch, different industries, stuff like that. This was, all this stuff came before, like right now, drones and manufacturing are going to pick up because of at least some recent talk in the news and recent legislation. And then there's going to be some other services that pick up too, because there's going to be this big Golden Dome missile defense system, which the current administration plans to do a lot of stuff really fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if places like sam.gov start blowing up with all kinds of opportunities. And so I must have closed that webpage. But anyway, I keep all the business stuff in here, and you get access to all this stuff up here, including Gemini. And you also get access to AI Studio, which gives you the ability to generate videos and stuff too. Now, there may be additional cost to all that stuff. I don't know. I just pay whatever the bill is every month, and it hasn't been much. It's like 16, 17 bucks or something like that. And then there's Office 365. So you can go Microsoft Copilot. And so I have an Office 365 account too. And this is just so I know how to use all these different tools that we have. It's come in handy because I've worked roles where we use Google and we use Slack and we use Microsoft Teams and we use Microsoft Excel, and then we use all the stuff together, and then all this stuff you sign into on a SSO, single sign on, and you can access all these different things. Man, I'm just thinking about this job I had once, the greatest job in the world. I should have stayed there. At any rate, but you you go to a website, you click a link, log in, and then boom, you have access to all your stuff, all your meetings and everything. It was freaking off the charts. But I was going through some stuff at the time, and yeah. So I left that place. I went to another place, okay. Then I went to another place, pretty good. And now I'm here talking to you, and I still do some cybersecurity stuff, but I'm more interested in consulting with businesses and individuals, and not even consulting so much. I got a couple websites in the newsletter and things like that. I'll share those with you at some point, if I haven't already. And I'm moving stuff around now because I wasn't really sure about the direction I was going to go with all of this stuff. So the current website that I have, I'm actually going to be replacing it with this right here, because this falls along. This is the methodology I use for organizing everything. And this falls along this principle that I call I'm not calling it anything. I apologize, but it's called Kaizen, or the lean methodology. Right. And so my work has always been in the realm of information and information technology. So I've always been like thinking about, how do you structure your documents and your information, and then how can you access this stuff really quick, and then how can you turn that information into physical products and services, and then how do you get those products and services to a point where, for instance, if there's a thing you manufacture, your lead time to manufacture it doesn't have to, like, you could make it because of the processes you set up, you can go from no order to a completed order in half an hour or something like that. And that's just putting things where they need to be, answering the questions where the questions are, having a inventory system that doesn't overload your warehouse, but you have what you need to do based on the volume that you have. And then, so that takes some tracking, but then there's systems you can use to do tracking. For instance, you have multi-monitor setups like I got here. And then I use this thing called the Stream Deck down here to I use it to control everything, right? So there's just this little button. You can use it to type characters, switch between applications. In this case, because I record online, I use it to switch between screens and stuff like that. I've got the ability to modify the camera and do all sorts of stuff over here, right? So that's sort of what I focus on. And so this website is going to be more reflective of that, and then it'll list our services and stuff like that. But this is me building it in the back end with all text, and then I can use this text along with any LLM or API to generate the actual website and put it online if I want to. And then I have, like I said before, all of the business stuff is in Google Drive, right? Because that's the communications hub. It's where I get emails and stuff like that. So at any rate, I'm going to go watch this and see what he has to say, and I'll come give you my input. But I'm pretty sure that this is falling along, and you go watch it too. This is falling along the lines of, we need people who are able to talk to machines and then keep some sort of organized information system around that. So not even that. Like, you have an organized information system for quickly gathering and retrieving data, turning that data into ideas, products, services, marketing materials, whatever. And you can integrate AI into that system to make things easier, but you just can't be like, we're going to build all these agents and we're going to use all these public systems, because your data is going to go out into the public world. Nobody's saying it, but there was a 16 billion record data breach here recently. It's the biggest record breach in history. If you go research it, you'll see this. It is my theory that this is because a lot of the people working in the cybersecurity industry aren't there because they're interested in cybersecurity. They're there because they're interested in money. And when the government went wild and started laying people off, also there's companies, they have been, coronavirus did a number on everybody. There were companies that were hiring people for a number of reasons, and then they went to let those people go, and they let go a lot of their knowledge infrastructure. So all those people that were struggling to learn these systems, they were let go. And then the managers who were still there, they were like, oh, well, we can do this. We'll tell AI to do this. We'll tell AI to do that. A lot of stuff was outsourced. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There are going to be jobs coming back. That's what I see happening here in the near future. So I'm going to check this out. Hopefully you got something out of this video. I'll see you in the next broadcast, team. Peace.